Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this particular dynamic and interactive Microsoft Excel dashboard from the scratch. So we're going to be using call center dataset to have this very beautiful dashboard right here created. So before we start the creation, the very first thing we need to do is to make sure we look at the dashboard requirements. Now that you have seen the dashboard requirements, the next thing you have to do is to make sure you download all the resources files we are going to be using for this particular dashboard to your PC and follow me step by step. So, see you in the class. So to get started with me, the very first thing you have to do is to open a blank workbook that has nothing on it. So with my Control N right now, I have something like that right here. There is no data right in here. So the reason why I have something blank was because I have 2 years of data that has the same numbers of columns and the same exact information. I want to actually append those particular workbooks together. So one is actually Excel workbook and the other one is actually Access database. So what I need to do right now is to go up here and click on data. From data, I'm going to actually locate where I have this get data right in. There are several sources right here that we can actually connect to get data from. So I'm going to go to file and click on from Excel workbook. Then I'm going to pick this one. You will have this one as well. Make sure you pick this one, click on import. So over here, you can see we have 3 different, workbooks here. This one here, I think a sheet rather, some kind of sheets. So this is a table, sheet 1 and sheet 2. This sheet 1 and table 1 here, they have the same data, but this one, no, we're not going to even use it. Let us choose either of this right here. I'm going to go with this one and click on transform data. So now we have this. Quickly, we have to actually load this to a worksheet now and come back right here to append our queries when we have gotten our second, data. There is no way to connect to another data source here without actually close and load. Let's do that. So as you can see, we have this right here. Don't worry, we're going to actually get it off later after all. So when we go back, I'm going to click on data again. Then over here, get data, I'm going to click on database this time around. So I want to get data from Access database. Here we go, we have 23. Just go ahead and actually click on this one, then click on transform data. Okay, we have gotten what we want. The next thing I'm going to do right now is to double click over here to rename this one to data set. So give it any name you like, is your choice. So once we have done that, I want to make sure I append this one to this very one right here. So I have it clicked. Before I do anything, if you look at this now, it says I have 10 columns here. And right here is giving me 9 columns. So you might be thinking, why does it happen like that? So because this one is actually coming from Access database, it's going to actually add serial numbers or ID to your data automatically, even though if you do not ask for it. But for the one coming from Excel workbook, it's not going to do that. So now the next thing I'm going to show you is that if you look at this now, I have valid, error, and empty for every single column. Maybe you're thinking will be like, why do we really have this? That was because we want to see the quality of every single columns. Like if you have thousands or millions of rows, you can only see small samples. You wouldn't be able to see everything. So if there is any error anywhere, this particular one here will identify that. So to get that, go over to view. If I just, can you see now? Bring it back. Here we go. Column profile. It will tell you more about your data right here. That will definitely help you to clean your data and make it okay for visualization, wherever. So now we have this. So it's optional. I can turn it on or turn it off, right? I'm going to put it on. So if you look at it right now, over here, we have no other columns, but over here, we have one single column and it's 100% valid. So I want to append this top one here to it. Click over home and let's go to append, click on it. So now I want to choose the table I want to append to it. That is this one. Then I'm going to click on OK. So we have just gotten it appended. If you look at it right now, it says 50 valid and 50 is actually invalid. So that is the percentage that's invalid. So what happens? That was because over here, there is no column that has any number or any ID, but it combined that and actually added a column to this very one for us. So for that, there is no need of this. We can remove it. So the reason why we knew that something like this happened was because we have this particular one checked. If it were unchecked, we wouldn't say it, but we can still know if you are very observant and you had been working with Power Query before. When you see this particular black and this particular green, that shows that something is wrong. When you hover over it, it will give you more information about what is actually wrong. Can you see it right now? But turning this one on would definitely help a lot, right? Because you can skip it. So over here, we don't actually need this one. Right click and click on remove. So the next thing we have to look at right now is what I call data type. So if I click over here, you can see all the common data types that we have inside Power Query, right? There are some that are not available in Power Query. You can find them when you go to Excel interface, or if you're using Power BI, you find them in Power BI. But right now, those are the ones that are very important. So this one here, if you look at it right now, is showing date and time. We need to actually show just date. Let's click over here, and instead of we showing this one, rather show this very one, and that is all we need. So if you want to do it automatically, maybe you're not good at doing this. It's very simple. Control A, highlight everything, go to transform right here and click on detect data type. So look at it. All those decimal numbers had been swapped to normal whole number, except where we have the right decimal numbers. Can you see this right now? So once we are done, let's go over here. Looking at this right now, we have first name and last name. So we might have one single person, 3 to 5 persons here that would have the same alias. So we don't want that to happen. So their last name might actually differentiate them. So for that, we need to combine these two columns together. So to do that, don't first of all select the last name, otherwise the last name will come first. So go ahead and select this one, hold your control key and select this one, right click, then go over here to merge columns. So click your delimiter or your separator. I'm going to use space, and over here we type in full name, then we click on OK. So it has been combined for us. So for the time being, this is what we want. Let's go ahead and close and apply. By going to home, we do this. All right, we have a new table right here. If I go ahead and close this, and maybe you want to actually come back here, you don't know how to because either you mistakenly closed it or willingly, but you've not done that before, don't get panicked yet. What you need to do is to go back to the top ribbon, click on data, and find these particular queries and connections. Once you click on that, it will give you this back, right? We don't actually need you. Let's go back. All right. So once we have gotten this one has no use again, right? If I right click here and click on hide, anybody can just come here and have this on hide. By clicking here, right click, and you can see it's active. If I do this now, I can bring it back. So what if we do something much more advanced that except people who are like us wouldn't know that something is hidden? Let me show you how to do it. No need of any VBA code whatsoever. Go to the top ribbon, click on developer, click on Visual Basic, but we're not going to write any code. Over here, you click on the table you want to actually, or the sheet you want to actually hide. That is table 1. Let's go down here where it says visible. Click over here to this particular drop down and click on very hidden. That is all. Go ahead and have this closed. Now it's hidden from here. If I right click right now, there is nothing here to actually bring it back, but it's easy. If you want to have it back because you did it, let's go over to the top again. Now over here to developer, click on Visual Basic again. Now you make sure you select that particular table and you come right here and you now save sheet visible. That is it. If you close, you're going to find it back right here. So our aim is to actually have it hidden. So we have to go back again for the last time, click on Visual Basic and quickly make sure it's selected. Over here, we have it hidden. We don't want to save, and that is all. Okay, once we have done this, we need to actually add two different sheets. One sheet is going to be for our dashboard. The other one is going to be for our analysis. Over here, I'm going to type here our analysis. So this is where our rough works or our back end is going to be, where we are going to be making our calculations. Then over here is going to be my dashboard. This is where my visualizations would definitely come, right? So once I've done this, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I make this look like a dashboard canvas. So go over to the top right here, click on view and click on this and this. And now what do you have? Something like this, right? So once you have done this, Control A to highlight every single cells right here and change its color if that is what you want. But instead of that, I'm going to leave it at white. Then go over to the top, click on, I think it's going to be on insert. Yes, illustrations, shapes, rounded rectangle. Then you drag it down. You have something just like this. So what are you going to do with this? We have to make sure we some kind of change its color to match what we really want to show. So I'm going to do Ctrl+1 to bring this up. Once this is here, you can move it anywhere you like. Click over here to remove the outline. Very important. Now click on the fill color to change the fill color to what you really want. Let's go with something like this. Now that gives me this particular color. So for that, I'm going to have to some kind of keep it right here and stretch it to this particular level here. Then bring it down and make sure there is a white space below here. So this rounded corner should be some kind of controlled. We don't need something very rounded. Then take this up. You bring this up a bit. Right. Now we have something like this. Control what you have here. Something to cover is very bad, so you just want to have just a little something like this to be perfect. Okay, this is what we have. The next thing we have to do is to create some couple of cards for our KPIs. So which is very simple. Let's go over to this top again. Now click on this rounded one and drag it all the way down. Okay, we have a specific color we want to use for this, which is very simple. And I'm going to show you what color we are going to be using. So for that, I'm going to do Ctrl+1 again to bring this up. Now, if I go over here, I can click on more colors and I have lots of colors right here that we can choose from. Sometimes we have the choice of color we actually need to use. So for that, what I'm going to do is to make sure I show you a website that could give you colors that can actually work with your dashboard, specifically if you are not good at selecting colors, right? Quickly, let me show you that. So just search on Google Adobe Color Wheel, wherever. So now click on this particular one here. So you can see color.adobe.com. So now once you're here, just go ahead and hide this one, then click on explore, and now you can actually bring your color here. So we have black, and want to actually see which colors will go with this. So we have another color in mind to be used. That is going to be light blue. If I actually make a search right now, it's going to help me to mix up black with light blue and other colors that could go together. So can you see it right now? So over here, you can scroll through to see which one would definitely match what you want. We can go with this one, we can go with this one, or whatever. Let's go with this particular one right here. So all you need to do is to copy this color code. So let's go back to our Excel environment right here. So now, in case you don't have it, I'm going to show you how to actually get it. So how? So this particular RGB here can actually help you to do what you want. So with 181, I go to the next one, which is green. I'm going to type in 207. 07, and finally we do 2, 3, and 5 here. That gives us this particular color. This is the color that we have currently, and this is the one we're going to be adding right now. Now we have this very color. This is the color we actually want to use for our KPI. So remember one thing, we might not have the same screen size. What I'm doing here today might not be applicable to your screen size. You might have a smaller screen size or a bigger screen size than I have. So for that, make sure you do what suits you or what actually matches your screen size, right? So over here, I'm going to actually use a dimension for that. Go over to the top ribbon again. Now you click on shape format. Let's go for the height. So for the height, I'm going to use 2.12. Then for the weight right here, let's go with 5.91. This is what I want to use, right? This is exactly how we want this. So once we have gotten this right here, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I click on line, have the line removed. I'm going to position it somewhere around here for the time being, right? So let's verify this again. Am I sure? 2.12 and 5.9. Okay, I think that is going to be okay. Okay, we have this right here. The next thing we have to get in here is actually some couple of icons that will make what we want look actually good. So for that, before we do that, I'm going to actually bring this up a little bit and have this particular space right here, then Ctrl D to duplicate it and bring this over here. But before then, let's delete this one. I'm going to have to just do this a little bit. Let's go over to the top ribbon again and select circle. If I start dragging it down, can you see it's not more giving me that rounded shape that I want? So how do you do this? Let's take it off and go back again. Click on insert and we go to illustrations, shapes, and we take a circle. Hold your shift key down. You can see no matter what you do, once the shift key is held down, you can see it's going to give you perfect rounded corner. Release, and you have it. So put this right here. Once this is right here, make sure you are very okay with where you positioned it, right? If that is what you want, you can release. So now we want to make sure we select the same color we have right here for it. So with my Ctrl 1, we come over here and we select this, and now we turn off this particular one. Then we have something like this. So maybe yet it's not making any damn sense, you know, for you. I'm going to actually increase it a little bit by holding my shift key to just increase it a bit. Like this is okay. Make sure it's in the middle of it. That is great. So for now, I'm going to hold this right click and click on group. It has been grouped for me. Now Ctrl D to duplicate it. Keep this right here. I want to have it into 4, right? So what I need to do right now is to some kind of make sure I hold my Control key to select all of them, go over to the top, shape format, align, we distribute horizontally, and we align top. So now we now have equal justification for every one of them, right? Okay, we have this. The next thing we need to do is to make sure we bring in some icons. So I already have my icons ready, just like the way I have my colors ready. I'm going to show you where you can get some of those particular icons from. Okay, over here right now, let us go to flat icon. So click on flat icon here. Is flaticon.com. Then you can make a search of any icons you want right here. Let us search for call center. So with these call center icons, you can find different types of icons right here that you can actually use for your call center. Can you see it now? Lots of them. So anything you want, you'll see it here. If you want some kind of animated icon, you can actually click on this particular one and to change that for you. Let's see it. Can you see it now? This is gonna be some kind of cool, but I don't really want to use the animated icon, right? So can you see it? We don't want this. So it's PNG as well, so we don't really want this. I told you I have my icons ready before now. Let's go over here, go to insert, and let's go to illustrations. Now this particular one, this device, we have to go and locate where we have our icons right then. So let's go over to new channel, and over here, call center, let's go to the images. So we have those couple of icons here. So we're going to be using this icon, this icon, this icon here, this icon. Those are the 4 icons we are going to use. So click on insert. Now we have them here. I can just take this one off it. Then I can resize the rest to give me what I want. Take it up and keep resizing until you have your desired size that you can work with. So here we go. We have this right here. I can just go ahead and some kind of reduce it a little bit, and something like this will be cool. I'll make sure I keep it right here. But if you look at it, it's not really cool yet. What can we do? We can Ctrl+1 and come over to this particular part, then click on this transparency, and let's click over here and choose, what is it, this one? Yeah, click over here. Let's choose this one. Beautiful, right? And the next one now should be this very one here. And if I take this one up a little bit, I can just reduce it. And let's put this over here. Then do the same thing to it. Click over here. Let's select this. So make sure this one is sitting in the middle of it. Then for this particular one here, we want to keep it somewhere around here. Then we change the color to match what we want. So this is the color we want to use. And finally, we're going to go with this very one here. So once that is cool, we click on this, we just choose this very one. And here we go, we have this. So for the time being, we're going to stop here on our design and let's just focus on the analysis at the back end. Okay. Now we have this. Never forget to save. Ctrl+S to just save is very simple. Just with a few steps, you have actually saved your work to save yourself from doing works that wouldn't be saved when Excel crashes. Okay, the next thing now is for we to actually create the KPIs we actually want. So once again, let me take you back to the finished product here. So over here, if you can see this right now, this is exactly what we have done, but not in totality. So if I select a particular month right here, like the month of May of 2023, you can now see over here, total calls went down by 0.4 now, which is 11 in total, and over here 0.42 in total, 10.6, 25 in total, and the revenue we generated from those particular calls or those deals actually is up by 1.6, which is 2,123. That is good, right? This is it. Okay, now how do we actually create something like this, which is last month comparison to this particular current month we have actually selected? So how do we actually do this? So let me show you how to get it done. Okay, we are back right here. The next thing I'm going to do is to click on my data, and let's go over here and click on insert and go over here to what? Go over here to pivot table. Then make sure you select this existing sheet and click over to analysis, and you select this one, then you click on OK. So once we have done that, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I have month right in here. I love to create my month sometime because that will give me more flexibility over what I want. I don't know why I used to do that, but it's optional. You can get month like this if you want to do that. Can you see it now? So now I'm going to remove this particular quarter and have my year removed, and I have the month. But the thing is this, the month is not reflecting right here. I might not be able to use it. So for that, what if I create my own month? It's very simple. Take this off and let's go back to our data right here. Now we are going to add a column to it called month. So this particular month column would actually use the, I think it's going to be some kind of, I'm thinking, just hold up. Let me make you see it better. Okay. So I think we're going to be using the text function. So with the text function, reference this particular one right here, put a comma with here for the shorter format. So close and hit enter key. Now you have your month. There are several ways to do this, but this is just one of the best and simple way to get it done. So once you have done this, you can save your work and go over to analysis. But right now we can't find it here. What do we do instead? We can actually refresh our pivot table and bring it in here, right? So now let's watch it. Now we have the month. We can drop it in here. This is what we have, right? Okay. We need to bring in our total calls right here. And those are the total calls we actually received for those particular months that you can see. So the next thing is this. What are we going to do with this? Are we going to do anything with this? No, not yet. So we are removing the month now. We have gotten the month. We will need to use the month later. So right away, I'm going to actually create other couple of KPIs that I will need. So we now have the call reach. So we have the deal closed and as well the deal value right here. Those are the KPIs. We have call reach and everything right here. So let's go back again. So once we have gotten this done, the next thing now is to actually get this formatted. So let's go over here, comma separator. We do this, and over here we're going to format this into a dollar or any currency of your choice. Ctrl+1. We go over to currency, and over here you can click over here to select any of it. So let's go with this one at default. So we have this. We can remove this, and this is what we have as KPI. All right, if I come over here right now, I can go over to the top here, insert, then quickly click on this particular text box, then click over here and drag this down. I'll type total calls, right? For my total calls, I just have to make sure it's some kind of showing up very well. So I'll go over here. I'm going to just increase this just like this. Then I'm going to do something like this. Let's quickly go ahead and do Ctrl+1 again and take off this fill and outline. Let's go ahead and put it at this particular spot right here, right? This is it. Okay, I would love to reduce it a bit so it's too much, something like this. Let's go with just 11. 11 is good. So I'm gonna actually make sure I put it, okay, it's okay. Just reduce this a bit and we have to put it right here. So we're gonna duplicate this, Ctrl+D to duplicate it and bring this to the top right here. So let's go over here, and now for the view, we go over to formula bar to make sure we bring in what we want right here. Okay, for those of you that are just getting started, there will be problem if I don't show you this. Let's go back to analysis. Now click over here. I'm going to go over here and go to pivot table analyze. Let's go over here and make sure this one is checked, right? If I open it back right now, it's checked. At default, if you're using Power BI, sorry, I said Power BI. At default, if you're using Excel for the first time, specifically the pivot table aspect, you would encounter this error you're going to encounter right now. Let's try it. So over here now, we want to actually bring the value in here. If I put my equal sign and go back here to select this total calls here, now this is the error you're going to have. There is no way you can bring this in because the get pivot data is actually checked or turned on. So it says the formula is missing a range, reference, or a defined name. So what do you do to get this particular problem solved? Okay, let's go back here to our analysis and we go over here. Now click over to pivot table analyze. Let's go to pivot table and click over here to make sure you don't check it. Just uncheck it. Let's go back and see. This is it right here. So now everything should be right. Click over here. Now here with the equal sign, you go ahead and click on this one and hit the enter key. This is what we have. Can you see it right now? So if we have this now, we have to make sure we crank it up. We can increase the size of it. So we want to have something like this. Okay, this is what we have. So I'm going to just take this one and keep it at the top right here. So here is our total calls. So with this number to be our total calls, so what sense does it make? This is just describing what happened in the past. So we want to see comparison, right? So compare this to the last month. that will definitely add more context to it, because the KPI is not adding any context right now. It's just telling us what happened. So we want to see what happened previously. So when we compare this to what happened previously, well, are we growing or we are not? That is what we want to do. So let's find out. Going back over here now, you can now see we have sum of everywhere. So we want to take the sum of away. Control H, we have this. We type in sum of, and we replace that with nothing. That will get all the sum of away from here, and this place looks more clean, right? So what else do? We need to actually, we don't need to do this over and over again. We can copy this. Instead of we doing under pivot table, we copy this. I'm going to paste this over here with my Ctrl V. I have it pasted there. So once I've done that, I can remove this one here, remove this one, and now I am left with this very one. All right, the next thing I need to do right now is this. But before I do that, let me show you one thing. The rule is this. If you know your pivot table would grow vertically, don't put anything below here. You get it right now? Then if you know your pivot table will grow horizontally, don't put anything right here. It's wrong. So for that, for a precaution, you can drop this one, because you know this one will not grow. Might grow here, and it might grow this particular way. Then it wouldn't affect this one. Something like that. So sometimes some people will choose to use different sheets for their new pivot table, but I just love to add it on one. I just want to be very careful on where I place my, wherever. So now we have this right here. What we need to do right now is to bring in the month. We have the month right here. So I'm going to just copy this again quickly. But before I do that, I want to make sure I go to the top, go to pivot table analyze, design. Then over here, we want to turn on this particular one that says show in tabular form, so that this particular row labels would show us month. The next thing, go ahead and turn off the grand total. It's gone. You have something clean. So let's go ahead and copy and have this pasted somewhere around here. Then you remove this particular one away. All right. We now have this one. Once we have gotten this one here, I'm going to actually right click. By clicking on this one, right click over here to add this slicer. So once you add the slicer, I can select. I now have this one filtered, not this one filtered. So I want the same thing, that this particular slicer to filter this very one here. So for that, I would love to name my pivot tables. Every single pivot table I drop right here right now, I'm going to have them named. So click over here, go over to here, and click over here. Then click on this one and name it KPI. Then on this one here, let us name this one to month. Then month, this month here should be for, I'm thinking, just hold up. This month is not going to be used for any other thing but to create a KPI, month KPI, right? Is very correct. So for this one here, you can just leave it the way it is. Okay, right now, if I select February, the previous month before February is what? January, right? If I select May, the previous month before May is April. How do we return that to make sure it gives us what we want? This is where we have to mix functions, formulas with pivot table. That doesn't mean pivot table cannot help you create your dashboard from A to Z, but if you want to have more customization, you have to learn how to use Excel functions and formulas. That will give you more powerful dashboard than just using our pivot table to summarize the data. So let me just take this one away right here. Over here right now, I'm going to type in find position, find position. So with my find position here, I want to see what is the position of this particular May. If I count it now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to return 5 for me. Let's put 5 here if that is correct. So for that, we're going to keep something in mind. To do that now, we have to actually say our find position will be on this one. So what functions in Excel could find a position where something is sitting for us? I think that would be match. Yeah, the match function will do that for us. So the match function is looking for value, and that value would be lookup value, which is this particular one, comma, and the lookup array is asking for like, where can we find May from? So you can find May in this particular list. Then under comma again is asking if we need something closer or something exact. We put 0 for exact match and we hit the enter key. It returns 5. So if I select this particular first one right here, it's returning 1 because the position is 1. Counting from here is 1. Then if I go all the way down and select the last one, which is December, it returns 12 for us because counting down to right here is going to be just 12. I believe this is something very simple. Okay, if you're still watching and you think I deserve a thumbs up, please do it. It's very important to actually help this particular video and this channel to grow. Make sure you subscribe, share to your friends and family. So let's continue. So this one is not needed. Now we have our position here. This particular position, we want to use it to return the month that is actually, previous to this particular December. That is going to be November, right? So we're going to select December. To do that right now, we're going to add support column. So for the support column, we type 1 to 12 over here. Click on this and fill series. So now we have 1 to 12. So now over here, I'm going to type in previous month. So we want to find our previous month here. To find the previous month, what functions do you actually think? How many functions are we going to combine together? 2, 3, 4, 5, or what? Just one? I think we need to get 2 functions. The index and the match function would do that for us. So here we use the index. The index function is asking for like, what do we want to return into this particular, cell we are sitting right now. We want to return month, and where is it sitting? It's sitting right here. Return something from here. Okay, it's now asking where can we find it. I will be like, you can find it in row 12. So if I put 12 right here and I close this right now, it's returning December for me. But the thing is, this is not going to be dynamic. If I change it to November, we're still having December right there. So for that, that is where the match function comes in. So we can double click right now and actually decide to select this particular month and hit the enter key. Now, if we do this right now, it's going to change. Or still, we can decide to embed the match function here. Let me show you how to do it. So here is the match function. And the match function is actually asking the same question. Lookup value. What do you want me to look up for? Look up for October and find the position. And to find the position, we give it an array. This very one here, comma, this time around, exact match, close, and close for, here is it. So we have the same thing returned for us. Can you see it now? This is what it is. So if I select January now, it's going to give me January at the 2 position because January is actually 1. So what do I need to do? So right here is not returning the right thing for me. It's returning the same March and March right here. So what I need to do right now is to come over here and make sure I do -1. Oh no, sorry. -1 shouldn't be right there. So the match function is what's going to return -1. So we put -1 here before we close it. -1. So now it's returning February. Can you see? If I select January here, it will return everything for me. And that is crazy. We don't want that. We don't want that. So what do we do? What do we do? So I'm thinking, okay, instead of us to embed this right here, because if January is selected, it's going to spill everything down for us. So to avoid this particular one happening, what we need to do right now is to actually make sure we put here -1 in here. So, and instead of us to embed this right here, we can remove all of this and reference this particular part, then close and hit our enter key. Then when we select January here, it's still spilling down for us. What the heck is wrong? Let me check. Oh, the previous month. Okay, this is okay. If that is the problem, we can solve this problem using VLOOKUP to return the previous month instead of first using index and match, because index and match will return this and it will give a calculation some kind of weird values, right? So for that, let's go ahead and do this different thing. So over here, I'm going to take this off. Remember, we have -1 here. So which means if we actually select this now, it's supposed to be in the third one. Now it's going to show us 2. If I select the first one, it's showing us 0 because we put -1, and that would give us an error when we use VLOOKUP. So let us use VLOOKUP here. VLOOKUP. Then VLOOKUP is looking for lookup value. What do you want us to look up for? Look up for this particular number, comma, and we select everything right here. We put a comma right here, and we tell it to return something from the second column. And exact match, we close and we hit enter. We have this, but what happens if I select this? It's returning January for us. Because there is no month before this, and as well again, there is no 0 among those numbers here. It's not going to return anything for us. So in that case, what do we do when something like this happens? So what we want to do right now is to make sure we use if error here. So the if error is going to say, if this particular value returns error, just give me 0, and that is all. Now we have 0 instead of seeing that particular error. So this is what it is. Can you see it now? Okay, we have gotten this done. This time around, what we want to do right now is for we to get the current value. Right? So the current value. So I can say the current value here. So what is current value? So I can call it something else. I can call it current calls. So current calls means, what did I select? I select July. So I want to see the calls for July. To see the calls for July is very simple. I can just do equals and go over here. Once this one is filtering this, but right now it's not filtering this right now. If I select this particular one, it's not changing. What we need to do is to right click and go to report connection. Then we'll connect to our KPI. We click on OK. So currently for the month of February, the month of March we selected here, we have calls of 5,310. February gives us 5,286, right? This is what we have. So if we have gotten this now, the next thing we have to calculate would be our what? We have to calculate our previous call. So previous call now will be previous calls. So for previous calls, how do we actually find that? It's very simple. We use VLOOKUP again. So with the VLOOKUP, this here, comma, and go over here to find what we are looking for, comma. We want to actually retrieve something from the third one right now under calls. So we put a comma right here, 3, 0, close, and hit our enter key. And that returns something from January for us. And this is what it is that we have. Can you see? This is the 2 months that is being returned over here. So now we are almost there to actually create our month-over-month change wherever it is. So what do we do now to find the month difference? So now we have this. Let's just go ahead and add, we're gonna add previous. So something like this is previous. So we're gonna say previous, let's do previous calls. Then here will be current calls, right? So I want to actually insert another slicer, which is the year slicer over here. If I scroll down, I have the year already. So if you don't have the year here, all you have to do is to make sure you drag this into here. It will actually group it for you and you will have this. I think I've done it. So maybe you skipped it if you don't understand that. So we add a slicer here. And this slicer here has some dates that doesn't have any data. If I do this right now, it wouldn't give me any data right here. That was something weird. So what we need to do right now is to right click and go to slicer settings. And over here, we just click on hide. That hides that way for us. So we want to connect this particular slider to this particular month right here. You right click and say report connection, and that is month KPI. We click on OK. Okay, if I do this right now, it filters this one and this one as well. That is it. Better. Okay, the next thing we have to do right now is to make sure we come over here to calculate the previous calls. The previous calls. Oh, I repeated this one. That is weird. So what I wanted to do here is gonna be over here. It's gonna be percentage different. PCT for percentage difference. So over here will be values, difference. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. So once we have gotten this done, the next thing we have to do right now is to make sure we calculate our percentage difference and value difference. So let's go for value difference and see what it is that we need to calculate for values difference. So for value difference here is very simple and easy. All we have to do is to put our equal sign right here and subtract the current calls from the previous calls. Current calls from previous calls, and that gives us this particular number right here. The next thing again is over here, we calculate the percentage, and it's something very easy as well. So what we need to do is to make sure we say, okay, you know what? We want to actually take the current calls. So inside the bracket, make sure you open a bracket, the current calls minus previous calls right here, close and divide by previous calls. If I hit my enter key, it gives me this. So I'm going to Control 1 and go over here to my percentage, and I'm going to have it with 1 decimal. I click on this, I have something like this. Can you see it right now? So here we go. This is what we have as percentage, and this is what we have as value. So we are not done yet. What do we do to make sure we actually combine them together is very important. But before we combine them together, we're going to actually add symbols to them. So how do we add this particular symbol to them? Is very simple to add this symbol to them. So I want to first of all add symbol to my value area here. So what do I do if I want to add symbol to my value area? So I'm going to come over here to select this one here. Then I will do if. You get it right now? This particular value here, so if it is greater than 0, then what I want now is to add a plus to it, this plus symbol to it. And now I'm going to do this. Then I want to format it into what I want. So how do I go by this? I want to put a comma separator right on it, and if need be, if this value can have $, pounds, or naira, Ghana cedis, depends on whatever currency you want to use. So right here, I'm going to use a text function. So with the text function now, I can still reference this particular value again, and I put a comma right here. I'm going to say hash, comma, hash, hash. We close this, we have this closed, and we say otherwise. Just go ahead and give us this by putting a comma right here. Then we close and hit our enter key. Now it's a plus. So whenever it is negative, automatically it will become negative on its own because negative number comes. Can you see? We have the minus, but for the plus, it doesn't come automatically. We have to create it ourselves. The subtraction number formatting comes automatically. That was why we did not specify it. Okay, we now have this right. Then let us do for the percentage. It's very, very important for the percentage as well. So we do the same thing for the percentage. We use the if. Over here, we use the if. So if this particular one here is greater than 0, then what we actually want is for we to actually format it using this plus and the ampersand right here with text here. Now we are formatting this as a percentage. We click back right here again. We can now do comma inside here 0.0% like this. Then we close this and close this. Otherwise, just don't add anything. Just go ahead and let's do comma here with the text function and reference this, put a comma right here, 0.0%, and we click, hit the enter key. Now we have this. Can you see it now? But what happens when there is changes? So now, can you see it now? This is what we have actually. You can see the difference right here is something very simple. It's something you can do. Just take your time to actually get it done. This is what we want to see. Okay, when I select January here, this is what happens. We start encountering errors. We want to solve these particular errors we have. And where can we actually solve these errors so that the errors will be clear for us automatically? Is something very, very important. Okay, let us try something here and try to return 0 over here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say if, let us use if error. If error, let's return 0. If we hit our enter key, it does work. It's giving us 0 right here. So remember, this is it. It works, but that doesn't solve the problem because we are doing what we call division by 0, right? So which means we have to do another if error here. So if error again here. Now we're going to go ahead and return 0. There it is. Let's see. Okay, this cannot work. We try to do that. It's not working. Right? So let's step out and see what we can do. The next thing we can do right now is to use the if condition again and say if this particular number right here, let's do this again. So if this very number here is equals to 0, then I want you is equals to 0. Then I want you to give me 0. Otherwise, go ahead and run this whole of our code here. Hit the enter key. Now we have solved the error. Can you see it now? When we select this particular January right here, instead of us saying, some kind of div whatever, we are seeing just 0%. And if you want to return here, you want to return when this one is equal to 0. You don't want to return this back. You just have to do if again right here and check this one. If it is equals to 0, give us 0. Otherwise, go ahead and run this to this end here. Hit the enter key. You now have the same thing. Can you see it right now? This is what we have. By the time we have normal values right here, we have what we actually want to have. So this is what we need to build. So sorry for keeping you to this end. We have one last touch to do. That is combining the percentage together. If you have seen the Power BI version, you would have known that I combined the percentage and the value together. How do we achieve that? It's something very simple, the most simplest part of them. So over here, I'm going to do this. Okay, equals. So what comes first? My percentage comes first. And over here, I'm going to do this and this, and I reference this one. If I hit my enter key, we have them combined together, but it's not making sense yet. So let us double click it, and inside here, I'm going to actually do a space and put here a pipe like this and hit my enter key, and it divides them for me. Now we are now showing the percentage one, and we are now showing another one that has to do with just the value changes. Can you see it right now? This is what we have. This seems to look very beautiful, right? Let's see. I'm going to come over here now and just drop this a little bit to make it wider. Then go over to the top here and put it in the middle like this. So you can decide to actually bold it to make sure it pops out very well. That is beautiful, right? So now what do? We can take this to our dashboard. Let's check our dashboard. Our dashboard looks great. How do we get this in there? We don't want to actually use this particular format, like going over here and Control D to duplicate. So we go over here and we reference this. So we drop it this way, like this. This looks great. It's showing something, but it's not communicating anything yet. We want to make sure we actually add a little bit of context to it before we finally say we are done from here. So let us look at the finished one. Over here, if you look at this right now, it's showing red when it drops. So if I start going through other months right now, can you see it right now? It shows green when there is some kind of increase, like growth. So when there is no growth, we start seeing this particular red. How do we configure this? If we have to do it, there is no way we can actually reference it like this. Instead, we're going to be using link picture to get it done. But first of all, we need to get this particular color right here used for this particular part. So if I click over here now, I will go over here to this and choose this color for my background right there. So we have used this particular color. The next thing right now is to make sure we actually add a conditional formatting to get what we actually want exactly. All right, to have that done right now, I'm going to select this particular one right here. Make sure you select the cell you want to actually condition, right? Once you have done that, so we want to go to the top here and click on this and click on manage rules. Then we can add the 2 rules before we leave here. So what I'm going to do right now is to click on new rule. And over here, I'm going to select use formula to determine which particular cell to format. Then over here, I'm going to reference this particular one here. And I'm going to say, if this is less than or equal to 0, I want to see red. And that red is going to be under font. Then I'm going to choose this particular part here and choose to use this red and click on OK. Then that is it. Click on OK right here. If I apply, I couldn't see red because it's not less than or equal to 0, right? I'm going to add a new rule and click on this one again. And over here, what I'm going to do is going to be, if this particular same number right here is greater than 0, then I want to see green. Oh, sorry, I've not done that. No, not this one. This very one here. So the format should actually be, I want to see green. Click on font, click over here and choose the kind of green you want to see. Maybe this kind of green right here. Then you click on OK. OK right here. Then you click on apply. And you can see we have that. So we now have something like this. If I click on OK, now we have what we want. Let's see, let's play around. Now we have it on minus 0.4 and it's giving us red already because it's down this particular month compared to the previous month, which is April. When we click on April, it's up by 7.1 and plus 166. My goodness, this is okay. Okay, if you're still watching and this gives you a little wonder, maybe you have not done this before, you might want to give this particular video a thumbs up and help me share to your friends and family that might need this. If you have not subscribed, it is the high time to hit the subscribe button. So let's see what we're going to do. Let's go over here and click on this one and Ctrl+C to actually copy. Go to this particular dashboard environment, select a cell, not a card like this. Select a cell and go over to the top and select paste and paste as link picture just like this. And now we can bring this down to somewhere around here, right? when we bring this down to somewhere around here, what are we trying to do? We are trying to actually add something that will give it more, some kind of descriptive stuff like that. So let us bring it down a bit like this. So I'm going to copy this very one from here, Ctrl D, and we bring this down. Oh, sorry. So we bring this very one here. I'm going to actually type in versus last month in here. Then I'm going to make it a bit smaller. This is cool. So you can just reduce this a bit. So we can keep this right here, just like this, right? I can hold both of them, including this one, and shift it a bit to be right here, right? Now click on this one, then shift this one here. So once you are done, the next thing is for me to go to the top again and click on Insert. And let's go to Illustrations, go over to Shapes and click over here. Now we can actually put our this thing here and hold the Shift key to drag a straight line. Oh, that is not straight enough. Ctrl Z to go ahead and get it again. So take a line. So I'm going to actually aim here. Shift key down. So we take a line like this. So once we are done, Ctrl 1, and we increase, or before we increase, let us select the color we want. This particular color is good. We can actually increase the point to maybe 1 point, or even just 1 point will be okay. So we can select the color that will pop out from this, but not too well. Something like this will be okay. A divider that will make sense is what we're looking for. So we have something like this, and this is what we want to actually create. So now we have this. So we can go back here and bring our two slicers on our dashboard here. Ctrl V to paste them down. So we can use it to interact with what we have. And when we select January, because January for this particular year does not have any data, if I select February right here, that wouldn't give us any data as well, because we actually based it on every single year. So now if I deselect every single thing right now, can you see? So now February, you now see this here. This is it. So we have added a context to our dashboard, and this is what we want to build. All right, I'm going to show you how to create these very other ones that are blanks with some kind of easy steps without doing this same work we have done, and create it with ease. But if you can do that, that is fine. So you can help me to do that before you come back and watch the remaining part of it. So see you in my next video, as I'll be posting the second video that will actually teach you how to actually combine everything together to create what it is that we have actually done. So let's see how that will definitely be.